I'm Susan Roberti, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Let's Talk Tail Waggers. This is a show I have been waiting for forever, and I am so pleased to have these people here and the beautiful baby that's on the floor to talk to and tell you. They're going to tell you all about service dogs, how they get a service dog and why they have a service dog. And I think this is going to be very, very important to a lot of people. So don't forget, BPTV, all volunteers. You are more than welcome to come up and do a show, learn how to do cameras. Just come up and watch. But you'll get hooked. So now I'm going to say hi, Bill.
Hi, Susie. How are you?
Fine. Let's talk.
Okay.
So what would you like us to know today?
Well, my name is Bill Jeffcoat, United States Marine Corps Vietnam combat veteran. In Vietnam, I had probably one of the most dangerous jobs going. K9, out front, was a war dog handler. Wow. And I tell everybody I had a girlfriend in Vietnam, but she had 4 legs. Her name was Fraulein, 4X10.
Aww.
And whether we were walking point on patrol, doing search and destroys, setting ambushes, running 3-man killer teams, or gathering intel with recon, Fraulein was my lifeline.
Wow.
I walked this earth because of a dog.
Aww.
When there were 4,000 dogs used in Vietnam, and what's interesting is that the human nose has 25 million scent receptors in it. A German Shepherd's has 225 million scent receptors in it.
Oh my.
And it adheres 10 times greater than a human. So because of those capabilities, the NVA and the Viet Cong put bounties both on the war dogs and the handlers.
Wow.
If you were to kill a war dog, cut off its tattooed ear, that was $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
If you killed the handler, took his unit patch or rank insignia, it was $10,000. So 4,000 dogs used in Vietnam, 350 were killed in action. 273 handlers, including 2 veterinary techs, were killed. Less than 200 dogs were returned from Vietnam. The remaining dogs were turned over to the ARVN forces, the South Vietnamese regular forces. And I did a tour in Vietnam, and it actually extended for a second tour. And 4 months into that, I was told by command that they were going to send me back to the world. So I went to command and put in a request and offered them $5,000 for my dog, Fraulein. And that request was denied. So the day before I left Vietnam, one of the other handlers came and got me and said the vet wanted to see Fraulein. And I went to the kennel, got Fraulein, went over to the vets, walked inside, and they told me they were going to put her down. They gave me a few minutes alone with her.
Oh, God love your heart.
Euthanized her, and she died in my arms.
Oh, well, that was a good thing, don't you think? As bad as it was a good thing that you were holding her. She would have done the same for you.
Yep. So a piece of my heart died that day.
Oh, sweetheart.
So I left Vietnam 27 days later, disembarked in San Diego, California, where I was met by crowds of people yelling and screaming, calling me names,
I remember that.
throwing things at me. And I said this was not the welcome home that I envisioned. And I was told not to wear my uniform home on leave. And my next and last duty assignment in the Marine Corps was at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island, South Carolina, where I became a drill instructor.
Oh, wow.
And when I got out of the Marine Corps, my life went to the dogs. I accepted a position as kennel master trainer with the State Law Enforcement Division in Columbia, South Carolina.
Wow.
And to take over daily operations of their kennel. And my mission was to train, track, and apprehend armed robbers, murderers, rapists,
Wow.
bank robbers, escaped convicts, and the most disheartening were lost and missing children. Within the first year, I had 5 fellow police officers shot and killed in the line of duty. And that's when I had to make a determination what my life's work was going to be. For I had survived the jungles of Vietnam, and now were I to be killed or shot in a swamp in South Carolina. So I left, came home to Pittsburgh, and in doing so, I became lost.
Oh.
I went to the dark side. I had no idea what PTSD was.
Nobody ever talked, I don't think, talked to the Vietnam vets about anything. And that was, I know, like I've told you many times, my one brother came back and he never cried, he never did anything, he just stayed in there, you know, inside. And at least you can talk about it now and feel, and that's a blessing.
Well, I was lucky enough to meet a young medical student that took me by my hand.
Ah.
And she still take me by my hand 47 years later.
Aw, what a love story. I like that one.
So I'm also a life member of the Vietnam Dog Handlers Association, and was invited down to Soldiers and Sailors Hall to view a premiere of a PBS special by Ken Burns and Linda Novich of the Vietnam War. And it just so happens I was wearing a canine shirt, and a gentleman approached me and he said, I'm with a group called Life Changing Service Dogs for Veterans, and would I consider coming to a meeting and possibly becoming a committee member? So I went down and found out about this organization. 2 Vietnam veterans, an Army Lieutenant, Tony Accomendo, and a Air Force Captain, George D'Angelo, were attending a function by an organization called Semper Fi Odyssey on General Jones. And there was a young military veteran there with a service dog, and in talking with him, he said the dog was trained by Guardian Angels medical service dogs in Williston, Florida. So they were intrigued and decided they wanted to find out more about this organization, flew down to Florida where they met Carol Borden, who is the founder and CEO.
Wow.
And Carol took them on a tour of the campus. They observed some of the training exercises. And then Carol informed them that these medical service dogs were trained to mitigate the visible and invisible disabilities of veterans. Post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, insulin dependence, seizure disorders, mobility issues, and or a combination of them. The cost of a dog, $25,000. 2 years to train, 1,500 hours.
Mm.
And at that time, the VA was reporting that 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
Mm.
So Tony and George came back to Pittsburgh and met at Veterans Breakfast Club at Duquesne University and decided to form this organization along with Veterans Cable Company. And their goal was to pair 22 veterans with 22 dogs in 22 months. And they have accomplished that mission.
Wow.
To date, we've raised $1.5 million, enough for 30 more dogs, but we've exceeded the capacity for them to train down in Williston, Florida. And Guardian Angels had purchased 102 acres in Washington County, Robinson Township, by the old Montour Trail. And the goal was to build a new facility where we can breed, raise, and train medical service dogs.
Wow. Wow.
Now we have Jack Wagner, who's the former State Auditor General, is our Director of Development for Guardian Angels, and he has been entrusted to go out to the large corporations, the foundations, to seek funds in helping us build this campus. But bottom line is, we do this for the veterans. First and foremost, and I'm just a small part of this organization, and what I would like to do is, to introduce you to Craig Hodgkins, United States Marine Corps, and let him tell his story on how he came about receiving Foxy, and I'll let Craig.
And we'll love to hear it.
Yeah, hi Susie, and thanks for having me here today.
Oh, you're welcome, darling.
So let me start with, I was a Marine for 21 years. I retired as a Master Sergeant. I'm a combat Marine. I'm a combat veteran. I'm not going to talk about the combat time, but what I want to talk about is afterwards, because to me that's the most important, because that's what us veterans deal with. As time went on and I got out, I started falling into a deep depression as I thought about things that had happened in the past. I had gotten to the point where I became a hermit. I had pretty much gone down into my basement. I wasn't spending time with my children. I wasn't spending time with my grandchildren. I was dealing with, I had 14 throat surgeries. I had all sorts of medical issues, knee problems, back problems. I was dealing with night terrors that would wake me up in the middle of the night and I wouldn't go back to sleep. So I was very sleep depraved. I got to the point after the next set of surgeries I was ready to give up, and this was over a period of time. My marriage was going downhill. Everything was just falling apart. And I had started planning my own suicide.
Not
I
good.
decided I didn't want to be on the earth. I was tired of dealing with everything. I was tired of watching my wife suffer as she saw what I was going through. And I was ready to go, and I was seeking help at the VA, but it just wasn't quite what everything I needed. And one of my doctors had recommended that I look at a program called Pets for Vets at first. And I went and I talked to a gentleman out there, Eric, and he talked to me about life-changing service dogs and guardian angels, and recommended that I reach out to them because he felt that I was the perfect candidate for a medical service dog. And I went through the vetting process, and I was seriously at that point where I said, if it doesn't change, if this doesn't work out, I'm done. I had the plan, I had everything in place. You know, I couldn't deal with it anymore. And then I got Foxy. And the first thing I noticed when I got her was when I started would get that anxiety and just, she'd be right up beside me. Just like right now, you may not notice this, but she is laying on my foot to let me know that she's there and everything's okay.
Oh, I watched her move in.
She knows when I'm having a hard time. When I go through night terrors at night, and I still have them, she jumps up on the bed. She starts licking my face gently.
Oh.
It wakes me up. So what happens is, because it wakes me up before it gets too in depth, I don't mind trying to go back to sleep because I know she's got my six. She's got my back, as they say. She has she saved my life already once, which we had a fire in our building. And I had taken my medication and I was having a hard time, and I took my sleeping meds as well. And I was totally out. I mean, I was just out cold, sound asleep. And the alarm went off in the building. And all of a sudden, I feel paws on my chest like they're giving me CPR and someone licking my face. And I'm waking up, I'm like, Foxy, and I'm like hearing the noise. I'm like, why are they turning around and testing wait a minute, they don't test the alarms in the middle of the night. So at that point I realized it was a fire. So we worked our way out of the building, and there was all sorts of fire trucks outside, and there was people yelling, get out of the building, get out of the building, get out of the building.
And of course, she stays very calm.
Oh,
Foxy.
yes. She is always calm, very calm, as you can see how she is right now. And it was just remarkable, the things that she's done. I've spent time with my grandchildren now. I babysit them. I see my children every weekend now. I wouldn't go out because my head was on a swivel. And I was always worried about, can I take care of a situation? I had so many medical issues and so many problems. Can I defend you if you have a problem? And all your viewers out there that are military will understand exactly what I'm saying. We are trained and bred to protect others. That's what we do. And when you start losing that capability, it becomes very rough. But that's why your head's on a swivel all the time. You want to see what's going on, and you want to make sure everybody's okay. I don't mind that now. I go out, and if we're standing in line at the store, instead of her right beside me, she turns around, faces behind, and she watches my back. So I feel like I got someone there. I don't have to turn my head. My head doesn't go left or go right.
Oh, that gives me chills.
She's so kind and so caring and loving. And I don't know if you noticed, she got up for a reason why she got up earlier. And that was because of what Bill was going through. She got up to look at him and make sure he was okay. She is just remarkable. When I was just in the hospital again last week, and another diagnosis, another problem it looks like I may have, which is Parkinson's disease now. So I've got another one on the way. And while we were in there, she was laying on the hospital bed, and the neurosurgeon came in. And all of a sudden, she popped up and she started crying. She just started crying and looking at him. And I said, "Sir, are you okay? Are you okay? Because she's alerting to you. Something's wrong." And he says, "Well, I'm a little sweaty." And then he looks down at his watch and he says, "Well, I am tachycardic. tachycardic. I think that's how you pronounce it. Basically, his heart rate was up to 135 beats a minute, and she picked up on it.
Wow.
Now, the reason why that happened and why the speed was up, he told me, he says, well, he had ran up 6 flights of stairs or 6 stories to get to my office. He was a young neurosurgeon.
Wow.
So he was actually exercising. He wasn't in any danger. But she picked up on that. I had internal bleeding. She alerted me to internal bleeding. It turned out not to be serious, but she picked up on that. I ended up in the hospital for that. That was treated at St. Clair Hospital.
Amazing.
True.
And I mean, I live alone now. Unfortunately, my marriage did go away, you know, with everything that happened. But I have my children, I have her, and I have friends like Bill and his wife over there. And because of that, I can make it today. And I don't think about suicide anymore. I don't think about it. I don't want it. I have my girlfriend here now, and she's just been
I hope,
a godsend.
and I'm going to pray when I go home today, that anyone that is seeing Let's Talk Tail Waggers today understands how important these creatures are. I do say it over and over and over. And when someone will say, oh, it's just a dog, I just curl up inside. You know, it's like, how could you say it's just a dog? And I think of them being out in the cold and not being fed, and they could be loving somebody, you know. And I do honestly hope that these gentlemen teach you how important these animals are and the hours that are put into them so that they're good for you. And she took to you right away, I bet, huh?
Yeah, she did. We
Yeah, you clicked.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We really did.
Yeah, I figured. She's just like, here I am with my dad. She's the best baby. So you think that you're going to be okay now? I'm not okay, but as long as you have Foxy as your love and your protector.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, with her and the support I get from Guardian Angels, as well as Life-Changing Service Dogs as well, with the group, it definitely helps. I mean, we check in on each other. We work together as a team. All of us that have been paired with dogs, we try to communicate and talk about the things that we're going through. Guardian Angels checks in with us on a regular basis, at least monthly, and they make sure we're okay, and they just make sure everything's going okay. They check on the dog status, they check on our status. We have responsibilities with the dogs which help us, right down to feeding our dogs by hand. We don't put a bowl down and just say, okay, here's your food. We lay down on the floor with them and feed them. We train them every day. We have requirements that they give us on what we have to do for training, and making sure that our dog is always at peak capability. A lot of people don't realize these are not just dogs, but they are actually our medical devices. They really are. And we love them to death, and they're our family too.
Yeah, and she is there so quiet, but if you look at her ears, she's right on.
Oh yes.
And the whole process, Susie, is that when someone, you can go on to our website, www.padogs4vets.org, and say, I need a dog, and start the process to fill out the paperwork. Or you can go to Guardian Angel Medical Service Dogs, and it's a process that you're getting a service animal, a medical service animal, and there's insurance, there's veterinary care, the feed, the exercise. It is something that you have to agree upon. There's a recipient agreement that you have to sign, and It's like if you got a new car and just drove it for 50,000 miles and didn't check the tires or the oil, eventually it's going to give out.
Mm-hmm.
Where these dogs are far more important.
Oh,
You know, they are life-saving for the veterans. And the veterans that are coming back now from Afghanistan, they're coming back with nightmares, unwanted memories. They want to self-isolate, because of IEDs and roadside bombs. Probably over 30% are coming back with traumatic brain injury.
that's what just is so frightening.
The divorce rate is tremendous. So these veterans need as much help as possible. And between life-changing service dogs and Guardian Angel medical service dogs, we want the public to know that these men and women veterans that serve this great country of ours need not to be forgotten. Mental health issues, tremendous, not only with the public in the United States, but for the veterans who make up 1% of the population, 1%. So, and we go out, talk to different organizations. I've been lucky enough that Craig and I have spoken to a few organizations together, and we'll continue to go out and talk to organizations. So if you have a church group, a club, a VFW, somebody that would want a veteran and a service dog and myself or someone from Life Changing Service Dogs, we'll come and talk. Rotary Club, whatever. Just let us know.
Yeah.
And we
You're
really
the front
appreciate it. I mean, we met Don at the Oktoberfest at the waterfront,
Yes.
and I was lucky enough that you came up and made contact. And as a result of that, we're here today at BPTV, informing the community of what we need to do to help our veterans. So I thank you very, very much.
Well, I thank you guys. I really do, because I don't know if this generation here has any idea of what you men went through. I don't know if it's talked about, and I feel so sorry, because it's like there's the secret that some of you have when you come home, and you're not going to share it. And once you would say it, it wouldn't be so scary. And now, I'm probably wrong, but that's what I keep thinking. If you could only just say it, maybe it would help. But because you're brave, because you were trained to keep everything inside, you can't do it. But you can do it with the dog, right? You can tell your secrets to her, and she'll just sit there and listen. Oh, what a good girl she is. I am so proud for the Tail Waggers to have you here today. I really am. This means so much to me to get this out and about. And we'll put any information at the end of the show. Talk with Dave, and he'll put anything that you want at the end of the show. But if there's anything else that we can do for you, if BPTV can do anything for you, we're here.
Well, I'd like to make a shout out to a local business here, Fleet Feet, which approached Life Changing Service Dogs, and they do a holiday lights run, and December 16th on the North Shore at Nova Place. We're going to have a gala, and this is going to take effect, I think, about 5:30. My man's going to be here with Foxy.
Where else would he be?
Yeah. And then also they're going to do a ugly sweater run from their store, which you get the date on that. Sunday, November 28th at Fleet Feet, Pittsburgh, and it starts at 7:30 in the morning. So ugly sweater run from Fleet Feet, and when we're done here with BPTV, Craig and Foxy and I are going to run up and we're going to do a shout out to the Fleet Feet people up there and thank them for choosing us as an organization.
Well, I was going to ask you to call someone and maybe they would want to come down and talk, but then I thought it's the last minute and maybe, you know, they wouldn't appreciate it. But they're more than welcome for BPTV to come up and do a show, you know. But I'm so at awe of both of you, and what you went through, nobody could ever know. But there's no place like home. And I think if you can just open your eyes and say, there's no place like home. I've been very brutally beat in my life, and I know what you're saying about fear and waking up and being scared and looking around, and it's not fun. It really isn't. Mine wasn't anything like you two, you know, but I still get frightened for no reason. I just get frightened. But I call them my kids. I have my kids. And I sit down with them and hold them, and it makes everything okay. It's really, it's a marvel with God when he created these guys. It's just uncanny. He had it all figured out. And it took stupid humans so long to figure out how wonderful these animals are. You know, when I moved out here, this was all farms. Nothing was here, nothing. And the dogs were tied up, you know, just like I said, just a dog. And that's the way you were brought up, you know, thinking it's just a dog. But I knew inside that they weren't just a dog. You know, and I'd say something to my dad, and he'd say, no, he's not coming in the house, it's just a dog. And I'd go outside and sit, you know, with them and talk to them. Right. But this little girl is, look at her, she just knows, see her ears going back. That's one thing about shepherds and their ears. They tell the whole story. Oh, yeah, I had one. And you can just tell when the kids got outside and they weren't supposed to be outside. His ears would be sitting on his eyes, you know. Huh. What else? Is there anything else that you want to get out and to tell us? Or you got all your information? You feel good? You got it all?
Did I skip anything?
Oh, look how
Did I
beautiful.
skip anything?
We're having a super bingo in conjunction with the Penn Hills number 7 Volunteer Fire Company, a joint fundraiser with them and Life Changing Service Dogs for Veterans.
Good.
November the 6th. Doors open at 4. Bingo starts at 5. $10 a ticket. We'll have our favorite bingo callers up here. And we'll have a couple veterans and their service dogs. And it's just a great opportunity to support your local fire companies and life-changing service dogs. So, and I appreciate the time that BPTV and Susie that you had given us, and it's important that when you see a veteran with a service dog, and it says do not pet, and the reason for that is that dog is working. That dog is there for the veteran. So please don't be offended if a veteran tells you, I'm sorry, but you cannot pet her or pet him. And when Foxy's not working and the vest comes off, she's a dog.
Aww.
So, but
She says, I got lots of work to do when I'm out and about, huh?
Yeah.
She's a dear girl. How many years have you had her?
I was paired with her a year and a half ago.
Wow.
So I've had her for a year and a half approximately.
And it looks like you've always had her. She was
It
just meant to
feels
be.
like we've always been together. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what she's thinking. She knows what I'm thinking.
Well,
it's
she
pretty
knows what you're
interesting.
thinking, believe me.
There's times we don't even talk and we out loud and we can communicate just with hand signals and just
Yeah.
looking at each other. I also wanted to mention another organization that has ended up donating towards the facility out in Western Pennsylvania, and that is Team Foster.
Yep.
They just recently donated $100,000 to the organization. They donated 50 to the facility and 50 for 2 dogs.
Wow.
And this is for veterans in this area, and that was Team Foster. Unbelievable group again that has come on board with all of us to help raise money for veterans as well.
Wow. Now, when is this place going to start that you want to build?
Well, we had a veteran, along with Carol Borden and Jack Wagner, that went to Harrisburg and spoke with Governor Wolf. And we received a $500,000 matching grant from the Commonwealth. And, we have to match that. So everything we do, everything we raise from life-changing service dogs goes towards that matching that $500,000. And we hope to break ground in the spring, shovel in the ground up in Robinson Township. So I would say that as the community of Pittsburgh has been tremendous. Pittsburgh Charities, Pittsburgh Pirates, Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Colcom, PNC Bank, Veterans Cable, Armstrong Utilities. There are a number of individuals and companies that have made the success so that, there's 30 dogs that have already been paired.
Wow.
They have, I think, over 320 dogs in 29 states. And the best part about it is there's been 0 suicide for every veteran that has a dog.
Hooray, hooray. So it works.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it works.
And, it's the number of veterans, and Pennsylvania has the 4th largest veteran population in the United States.
I believe that.
California, Texas, Florida, and then Pennsylvania. And we need to take care of our veterans. And right now, we probably have at Guardian Angels a waiting list of 300 veterans waiting for dogs.
Wow.
So that's why it's imperative that we get the support to build this campus in Western Pennsylvania, and it will be the Northeast Regional Campus for Guardian Angel Medical Service Dogs, so that we can train and pair 60 to 80 more veterans a year.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful, huh?
That's our goal. So,
Wow. Wow.
and anybody that, any corporation or foundation, you can go to our website at www.padogsforvets.org, and if you'd like to make a significant contribution, Jack Wagner his name and number is there, and please contact him and help us to reach our goal.
Oh. Now, you do have enough money to break ground for this?
In the spring?
Yeah. Good. That's good to hear. I think that God will make sure that you're taken care of.
Yeah.
He always does. Look how she loves you. There's not, when a dog looks up at you, it's just
Yeah, she's
no words. No words. I always tell mine, don't think you're going to hand me that baloney. Okay, oh, she said, is it time? Well, guess what? It's time to say goodbye.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's time that we acknowledge that what a friendship and partnership we've made with you.
I hope so. And I hope
Absolutely.
any time that you need anything, call me and the tail waggers will be there to help. We really will, because they're my life, just as they are your life. They really and truly are. I had a grooming shop for 40 years, and I groomed them. Nobody ever touched them. And I could write a book. I know how wonderful they are. But I thank both of you for coming.
Thank
I
you.
really
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure and very relaxing, and she's a doll baby, and give her hugs once a day for me. And
I
tell her
will.
it's
I
from
will.
Susan.
And God bless America.
Oh, you better believe it.
For sure.
You better believe it. I do every day. Believe me. It's just something that you have to do. But I want to say thank you to all of you out there. Don't forget, we need help here. This is emergency, emergency. We need help. And remember, blankets, sheets, towels, pillowcases, anything that you wouldn't give to the homeless, send to the homeless. Please send them to your Humane Society. They really need blankets and pillowcases and sheets for their dogs and their cats and their bunny rabbits, and it's really appreciated. Food, but I would call and ask what kind of food that they use, because some places only use a certain type of food. But once again, I want to tell you that you're very special people to me. I love you. And thanks from all the tail waggers.